directed by John Carpenter, who also directed The Thing, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, and Prince of Darkness. This is probably the most iconic horror movie of all time. It practically defined all slashers coming after this movie. This was the groundstone for American slashers, and it will always be one of the biggest classics of all time, at least in the horror genre. This movie also has the benefit of having probably the most iconic horror theme of all time. This theme gets played every Halloween. Even as a kid, I knew this theme, even though I haven't watched the movie yet. This is so iconic, and it has slashed its way into pop culture so easily. Of course, this movie is one of the most popular horror movies of all time. It practically had the ingredients to be it from the start. This movie, surprisingly enough, does not even have a single drop of blood. It's kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where in the title you think it's going to be filled with blood, and then there's actually not that blood in it. This movie also does not have blood, which is actually a funny story, because when John Carpenter said he wanted to make the movie, the studio practically just thought that he was going to need buckets of blood, so they paid for it and then they shipped it to the studio. And then when the filming began, he said, "We don't need that. There's no blood in this movie." So they had to return all the blood that they bought, which was kind of a funny story. This movie both have my favorite killer and my favorite final girl. Michael Myers is probably one of the best horror villains of all time, at least before we got his backstory, which kind of ruined the character. I like the mystique of Michael Myers just looming around Haddonfield and slashing his way through the society. I think that's a very funny way, and that's actually why my favorite Halloween sequel is actually Halloween Kills. I really enjoy Halloween Kills, but that's a review for another day. And the reason why my favorite final girl is Laurie Strode is because it's not because it's the first, it's because she's just such a great upbuilded character. I really think you get to feel for her, and she's just a normal girl that unfortunately someday get attacked by Michael Myers and all her friends. Spoilers if you have not watched this horror classic from 50 years ago. All her friends die. She's the final girl. She's practically the first final girl in slasher history. I know Black Christmas was technically actually before this, and yeah, I know, but I think that this is the movie that people went into. This is the movie that got people afraid of horror movies, which even lasts today, making very great subgenre. I like slashers. It's not my favorite at all, but I think they are funny, cheap, and sometimes kooks of a horror movies. I think that's the horror genre's fast food movies. Really enjoy it. I think this movie has an underappreciated layer of creepiness. Just the way it's filmed from dark angles, I very much think that this movie is very scary. I don't think that it's not holding up 100%, but I still think there's a lot of things in this movie that still really works to this day, which is why I'm actually going to give this movie 5 out of 5 stars. I think this is a classic that's holding up all the years later. I think it's deserved the placement as the first slasher movie of all time, even though it's not. But let's just pretend it is. And I think this movie 100% deserves this. This is actually not my favorite John Carpenter movie. That goes to The Thing. Again, a review for another day. But I think this movie is great. And I'm so glad that we could finish off this series with this movie. Yes, this is the final episode of the series, but I thought that we are going to get out with a bang. Halloween is a great movie, and I'm so glad that it gets the appreciation that it deserves. It still holds up today, and that's why it's still relevant today. So that's it. Always stay terrified. See you.